A high-level Egyptian source has denied that a phone call happened between the Egyptian and American presidents. The source told our sister news channel, Al Qahira News, that any phone call by Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is announced according to the usual protocol with heads of state. The official source stressed that the necessary accuracy should be verified, especially regarding a call at this level and at such a critical time for the Middle East region. News has reported that 10 fuel trucks entered Gaza from Egypt today. The channel confirmed that these fuel trucks are within the 220 aid trucks with medical and food supplies that have entered Gaza through the Kerem Abu Salem and Al Uja, known as Nitzana, border crossings in preparation to enter the Gaza Strip. UNICEF has reported accelerating the distribution of supplies and services to children in Gaza Strip, with over 350 trucks entering in the first week of the long-awaited ceasefire. UNICEF reports that trucks packed with water, hygiene kits, malnutrition treatment, warm clothing, tarpaulins, and other essential humanitarian supplies entered through crossings in both the north and south of the Gaza Strip and were distributed with partners to families in need. It added that more than 2 million people in the Gaza Strip, half of them children, are facing devastating shortages of basic necessities, including safe water and sanitation, food and healthcare. Jordan has announced it will continue an intensive air bridge to send humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. Jordanian government spokesperson Mohammed al-Momani stated that Jordan started an intensive air bridge today to deliver medical supplies, food and humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza. It will last for 8 days and will constitute of 16 flights per day. Tens of thousands of Palestinians have continued to head north to return home as part of a ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel. Late on Monday, Gaza's Hamas authorities said more than 300,000 people had crossed into Gaza City and the northern edge of the enclave. Their return, which had been delayed over the weekend, proceeded after Hamas agreed to hand over 3 Israeli detainees this week, and Israeli forces began to withdraw from a main corridor across the enclave as part of an agreement on a ceasefire in the 15-month-long war. Palestinians are reuniting with their families after 15 months apart. Around 650,000 Palestinians were displaced from northern Gaza during the war. Many of those displaced have had to move several times as Israel designated parts of Gaza as humanitarian zones and then cleared them out before mounting bombardments and ground operations. Palestinians who have been living in a vast refugee camp in Qnews were ready to take down and move their small shelters. The mood in Mawasi refugee camp was joyous, even though many knew their homes had been destroyed in Israeli offensives. UN officials estimated that some 200,000 people made their way back over the course of the day. Displaced Palestinians arriving to Gaza last night have said they were exhausted as they recalled their journey to northern Gaza on foot. Some said they would spend the night sleeping on the streets as they had nowhere to go or couldn't continue walking any further. Others were waiting for family members they had lost among the crowds along the way. Tens of thousands of Palestinians streamed along the main roads leading north in Gaza, jubilant to be returning home after months of living in temporary shelters, but fearing what might remain of their homes amid the bombed-out ruins. As Israel's ban on the UN agency that looks after Palestinian refugees is set to come into effect this Thursday, workers are packing up the UNRWA compound in occupied Jerusalem. Israel's government has ordered UNRWA to vacate its premises and cease operations in East Jerusalem following a law passed by Parliament last year banning the agency and prohibiting Israeli authorities from engaging with it. It's unclear who will now provide these services or how the ban will impact operations in the West Bank and Gaza, where UNRWA has been the primary provider of education, health and other services. Hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians returned to northern Gaza following agreements mediated by Egypt, Qatar and the United States.